Back in the book segment tonight, two hot topics: Jay-Z and Beyonce flouncing around Cuba, and joy over the death of Margaret Thatcher.
I am celebrating, I'm celebrating the fact that Margaret Thatcher is dead today, and I'm here to celebrate with everyone else, symbolically, to just to say everything she stood for, I'm opposed to.
Thatcher's death, I think, is a celebration around the world. Millions of people know she started a legacy, and that legacy was turning over public services and starting the greed for the bankers.
That woman made my youth a misery. I think that she was to blame for most of the ills in society.
Joining us now from Washington to analyze, Laura Ingraham. You know, it's just pathetic. It really is that some people are so poisoned by ideology that they just can't, say, okay, look, I disagreed with her or whatever, but I'm sorry for her family. I said a prayer for her or whatever. Do you understand? You take a lot of calls on the radio. Do you understand that? I don't understand that mindset.
I not only understand it, I fully expected this reaction, and I think Lady Thatcher would have also expected it, and probably, Bill, she probably would have been glad to see it in a way, right? Because if these people are still so angry about what they're angry about, she probably did what she set out to do, to lift Britain out of the economic malaise that it was in, to reassert British military authority when needed, and to stand strongly with the United States against the Soviet threat. She did all of those things. She was vehemently against collectivism of any kind, whether it was in big corporations, which she was very suspicious of, or big government bureaucracy. And she was a union buster. They didn't like her for that. And for that, her enemies today rejoice. There's no common understanding of respect for the dead among these people. I mean, they just that doesn't compute with them.
It took me aback because I'm trying to think back to the death of Ronald Reagan in America. I don't think we saw that kind of public vitriol. I mean, I'm sure there was some private stuff, but I don't remember that kind of disrespect. Do you remember it back then?
No, I was at President Reagan's funeral. I worked for President Reagan as a young speechwriter in the White House for domestic policy at the time, and Reagan, transformed the country and made a lot of people really angry. But in the end, most in America kind of gave him the nod. Okay, we didn't agree with you maybe on everything. There's, he had Iran-Contra and all this stuff, but you really helped us get through a difficult time. Not perfect, not everybody, no one is, but there was an enormous amount of respect for President Reagan.
But I'm trying to think back throughout history. I don't think we've ever seen anything like that. Even when Richard Nixon died, that we saw in London, it took me by
America's different,
surprise.
America, was different during Reagan's time, and I can't imagine that Jimmy Carter passes on, or Barack Obama. I mean, people are going to say,
look, see any of that here.
Exactly.
All right, I got to get to Senator Marco Rubio, who doesn't really like the fact that Jay-Z and Beyonce are in Cuba. Roll it.
Cuba's not a zoo where you pay an admission ticket and you go in and you get to watch people living in cages to see how they're suffering. Cuba's not a field trip. I don't take that stuff lightly. You just went to Cuba, and to fulfill your curiosity, which I could have told you about if you'd come see me for 5 minutes, you've left thousands of dollars in the hand of a government that uses that money to control these people that you feel sorry for.
All right, and you say?
Well, look, he's right about that. But again, why are people surprised about this? The rules don't apply to liberals, okay? President Obama believes he has a special mission. You've talked about it, Bill, of transforming the country. And the rules don't apply to his people, right? If he says, well, I'm not going to meet with lobbyists, so his people meet with them oftentimes across the street at the coffee shop, across the street from the White House, so they don't sign into the log, right? If you're a friend of Obama's, you used to be a FOB, friend of Bill, now you're an FOO, friend of the Obamas, like Jay-Z and Beyonce. You hung out in the Situation Room for that iconic photo. Now you want to go to Cuba, you want to hang out with and see the way the folks live in the enlightened world. You do it. You get the permission. Everybody's scratching each other's backs, and this is a pattern among especially leftists, whether it's Penn going to see Hugo Chavez or Benicio del Toro, filming in Havana for his film, or going back to Jane Fonda in Vietnam. I mean, they're inherently I'm not saying Jay-Z and Beyonce are. I'm just saying it's the fascination.
They're just right. I'd love to know what they think about Cuba or why they went there in the first place, but you'll never get that from them because they
well,
were
I think, Bill, they're not political sophisticates, but the people that talk to them about politics, they probably hear, well,
I'd like to know why they're over there. Maybe
well, they're there, Bill, because they're emissaries to break down the boycott of Cuba. That's why.
Got to run. Thank you, Laura. In a moment, Factor Tip of the Day.